Hey gals and guys, it's your host Phil Larson, and this is your motivational high five on blame. Let's do this. Hello, I feel like it's been so long, and I do apologize. It has been long. In fact, I just responded to several emails in my inbox that have been piling up about the podcast, and in those emails, I've been apologizing. And only now, as I stand up to finally record these vocals, I realize that in those emails I've been blaming some malfunctioning equipment. And it's true, but I was using that to explain away why I hadn't responded to some emails that I've sat for over a month. And in reality, I could have put forth the effort to really get some of this stuff working earlier. But it was just easier to blame my equipment. A lot of blame seems to be going around these days. You know, a lot of what's in the spotlight and what's easy is to put in that spotlight is the leaders of our country. And blame is easy. It's a mechanism we use to define problems. It's a way to explain to ourselves that we aren't the problem by convincing others who or what is the problem. But see, there's nothing creative about blame at all. In fact, blame is a lazy reaction. It keeps us off the hook. And so when I see other leaders blaming other leaders, that's just like anti-leadership to me. Because they aren't choosing to be creative to find solutions. They are blaming and taking the easy way out to stay off the hook. Because blame simplifies the problem. And if we're honest, a lot of these things, much of anything really, isn't a simple solution. Because it isn't a simple problem. My wife one time was doing some gardening with her mom, and they got into some poison ivy. And, you know, okay, poison ivy, you rub some whatever cream, some aloe or whatever on it until it goes away. Well, it just wasn't going away. And my wife went to the doctor and they looked at it and they said, whoa, it's gone systemic. And no longer was it a simple problem and there were no simple solutions. And she had to use some special creams and soaps, and they prescribed an antibiotic. And see, that's the thing about blaming systems. That's just it. They're systemic. There are many moving parts in systems, whether it's government all the way down to your own personal growth. Where you go, how am I a system? Well, you're a part of a greater family system. And in families, we have many experiences, good and bad, growing up that make up who we are. And we are formed out of those things. We become a system ourselves, a system of neural connections in our brain. And in fact, many of these connections happen before we even have a say, before we are 3 years old, before we can even remember. So we have reasons for our connections, for our system that we don't even know. My son, who's 3 months old, is not going to remember this time together, but I and my wife are putting so much love into it because we know that we are forming his brain, his systems, the way he accepts and gives love. So much of it is determined right now. You know, and if we go back to our own personal growth, our own personal healing, naming a person or event is a good start to get health. But to stay there invokes blame. And it becomes a simplified solution that keeps us off the hook. Moving forward towards health requires us to be creative in our recovery, in the company of loving individuals who supply positive affirmation. Again, there's nothing creative about blame. It is an easy way out. It is a way to keep us off the hook. In one of Henry Ford's quotes, don't find fault, find a remedy. If you're going to put all your effort into finding something, don't find a blame. Let's find a solution. And it's not going to be a quick and done. It can't be. These issues are systemic. It'll take patience. It'll take a community effort. Social issues, political issues, our own personal issues. It takes time. It takes work. It takes a community of others to come around with a common goal that is centered on love. Ultimately, we want to get some things done because we see some injustice in our world, we see some injustice in ourselves and how we've been treated. We want what's good for us. You can't go there alone. You can't. Because you just want to then blame people. I get it. Me too. Invite others in and invite in positive voices. And that's what we do. That's what we do each episode. And if you want to do that, there's over 80 episodes. Let's do this. Go back and begin telling yourself positive things. Simple truths that may be hard to understand or believe as you're saying it. But over time, as research tells us, as science tells us, we can begin to affect that inner system of our brain. It's a system that can be changed. It's a system that requires our patience, but us loving ourselves into a new way of being. And so we take it on ourselves. We don't find fault, we find a remedy. And one of the ways we do that, we say some affirmations. We find reflection of ourselves. And when you do that, when you find some time to do that today, will you say this? Today I will move beyond blame and into creative action. I think there's a way to move into quote-unquote creative action going, look at me, I'm acting, join, or you're wrong. That can come across as blame. People can feel like you're doing this to show me how wrong I am. Creative action involves constructive conversation. Oftentimes, constructive conversation doesn't happen in a large crowd or group or behind a megaphone. It doesn't happen in a public post online. It happens in the middle of mowing your lawn with your neighbor, or going on a walk with your dog with someone else, or in a small group at church, or in a support group. Really constructive conversations involve those who don't believe the way you believe, and oftentimes keeps that person's heart in mind. They are saying something different, but I know their heart, and their heart is good. Why do they think this way? Constructive conversations ask questions, gets beyond your agenda. It sees the other people, as systems resulting from experiences oftentimes outside of their own control. There's a reason they believe the things they believe, just like there is a reason you believe what you believe. To make it seem like you have someone figured out is a way for someone to feel marginalized and blamed. It starts at the individual. It starts with you.